are you guys doing? I know it's been a while, but I'm back. And as you might have noticed, well, I put a big ass thing about it in front of the video, so you probably have noticed that my channel changed from Hunter Gaming to Viking Plays. Because this Nordic Viking stuff is pretty much what I like most since ever, not only since a certain amount of time, but since about 20 years now, I say, maybe even longer. So I decided to go from Hunter Gaming to Viking Plays because that's how I feel. You might wonder why I make this video, because there already was a tutorial, a button box tutorial, but back then I thought I'd made me a coffee. Give me a second. This is so much better right now. I can't live without my coffee. Yeah, about 8 to 10 cups a day of this size. Delicious, from fresh beans and whatnot. So tasty. I need to look into the camera and not on myself on the display. Oh yeah, all this stuff is filmed with my smartphone, so the audio and video quality might not be the best, but I guess when it comes to tutorials, you are pretty used to a bad setup on my end. Yeah, what I was about to say is, you might wonder why I do another tutorial on a button box, because there already was one back in 2017. But back then I was very inexperienced with all of the stuff. I explained the programming wrong. I skipped a lot of very important details on the tutorial. That box itself was just huge, way too huge. And I thought about, even back then, I thought about making a completely new tutorial, maybe with better equipment, borrow a camera from someone. But about 8 months later, the R case broke. The USB connector broke off, and even though I got sponsored and I got it for free, I was pretty disappointed. So I took the whole box apart because there was no use of it anymore anyways. And after that, I didn't use the button box at all for about a year, I'd say. And yeah, that said, year later, I came across a so-called arcade USB encoder on Amazon. It was pretty damn cheap, and I thought, you know what? Get it, try it. If it doesn't work, it's only $8, so it's not that big of a loss. I will link the thing in the description. And no, I'm not affiliated, nothing is sponsored. I got everything myself, I ordered it myself, I paid for it, and there is no sponsoring, nor affiliation, no nothing. Where did I put the board? Oh, hidden behind my coffee. Coffee is such a big part of my life. So this is a board. It's a no-name China thing. Like I said, it was $8. And if you have Prime, you don't even pay shipping for it. So yeah, it comes with, let me get this out here real quick. It comes with these wires, which fit into these connectors on the board. I already prepared some stuff, so on the other end of the wires there are cable shoes, but those are useless for our project because they don't fit at all onto the sockets of the switches. Yeah, like I said, I came across this encoder here, And at this point, I started with my second button box, which was actually just a panel. Here's a picture of it. Picture? Come on. No, it's okay. Don't be shy. No, they're nice. Seriously, come on. Yes. Yes. Just a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, a tiny bit more. There you go. Good boy. So this is the second panel I've built, and it was supposed to be a placeholder. I just planned on using it for a very short amount of time because I wanted to build a version 3 then of a button box anyways. But it turned out I used this panel for about 2.5 years now, 3 years, maybe even longer, I'm not sure. And I already took it apart because I gonna use parts of it in the new button box. This is what it looks now. And it just was, it would, you saw the pictures. Yeah. What else am I supposed to say? I gonna jump a bit forward now and show you the hardware. It was overall maybe 60 bucks, 65 bucks for everything you see in this video. Expect my tools. These are already here and I didn't just bought them. So you could say this is kind of a low budget homemade button box. I know you can get pre-made ones online, fancy ones with shit ton of LEDs and laser engraved functions and I don't know what else, but yeah, 200, 300 bucks for a plastic box with switches on it and buttons? No fucking way. So awesome. So like I said, I gonna jump forward in time now and show you what I got and what you need to build your own button box. And like I said before, there's so much, like I said, in this part. Anyways, everything will be listed down below. Just a little reminder, the links are to the German Amazon page with German prices. So the prices might be different at your place. Just keep that in mind and have fun with the tutorial now. Okay, so what we work with today is, this is the stuff I got this on this side because the stuff over here, the jumper wires and the shrinking cable things, I got already, and this is what I ordered. And what this is 12 toggle switches, 3 position switches on off on, 2 LED push buttons. They're gonna replace the big arcade looking things on my current, that are sitting on my current panel. A blue one, a red one, 20 pairs of connectors, male, female, and the actual box itself, which is pretty much just a waterproof IP45 housing for, you know, when you have like 5-6 cables coming from different directions, you connect them in here and you have only one wire going out. This comes with 4 screws and a rubber silicone sealing thing right here. And yeah, a load of wires. Okay, with the new box, we first need to figure out where to place the buttons and switches. And for that, we only need the lid. So the lower part can go away for a moment. I already measured this one. It's 20 centimeters by 12 centimeters, which means I can place 4 buttons in the height, and I think it was 7 buttons in the width. So You would say, okay, 12 centimeters, that's one button every 3 centimeters, but that doesn't work because 12 centimeters is the outline. So you can't place like your first and fourth button right on the edge. That doesn't work. So we go with 10 centimeters, and that means we can place one switch or button every 2.5 centimeters. To measure how to place your buttons or switches, it is actually not that hard. You just think about and try to imagine where about you want to have your switches. And then I go just like, okay, that's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could even place 8 switches along the long side, but I go with 7 because I also have to place the 2 push buttons somewhere down here. So that means I go 4 high and 7 wide. And this is what we are going to measure right now.
Imagination.
Okay, so the measuring is done, and this is what it looks like. And wherever the lines cross is where we build in our switches and buttons. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is I have the thinnest drill here that I found in my inventory. And what we're gonna do is we set the tip of it exactly to where the lines meet. Just like this. And then we just take a kind of light hammer and give it 1, 2 little taps. And what this does is it puts a little dent. Where's the lens? There. It puts a little dent in the plastic so that the bigger drill won't slip off and ruin everything. Okay, the next thing we got to do is we have to get the encoder in the box and have to cut a hole somewhere to where is it? We have to cut a hole for the USB connect. What is it, like USB B or USB? I don't know. It's the stuff that you also find on printers. So we're gonna fix this in like this. I'm gonna take this little thing here out, and I put it nice centered, a little bit lifted up so it doesn't sit on the ground of the box. Maybe I even glue it in, I don't know yet. But this is the next thing we gotta do. So as you can see here, since the saw blade is kind of wide, I put little cuts that are actually going that are actually wider than the hole itself. But that doesn't bother me that much because I'm going to cover this whole thing in this yeah, what is it called? I don't know. This self-adhesive foil, decoration foil thing. Over here it's called DC Fix, so no idea what it's called over there. On your place, let's clean this hole out and let's see if the USB connector fits. Ooh, nice. There we go. Pretty awesome. Okay, so this goes in here pretty good. The only thing that bothers me right now is I didn't put the hole high enough, so the encoder in fact sits straight on the ground. Not that big of a deal, but I have to take care that no tiny bit of humidity is going into this box at all. Okay, so now we cut the hole for the USB connection. And now we have to find out how to install the encoder. It fits pretty nicely in the hole, I have to say that. And a good thing would be probably to just glue it down at the end here. I guess I'm going to do exactly that. Wait, wasn't there this tiny... Wait. No, I can't use anything made out of metal for this. Okay, there's nothing here in the back. So the first connections are starting right here. So I have all this area back here to glue it down, to glue something on it without actually damaging the encoder. Okay, so this is a preparation for the soldering. I'm gonna show you what I have done to prepare for the soldering. You might do it differently. So what I have done is I took the jumper wires and I cut them into, let me show you this right here. I cut them into little pieces so to create the bridges I talked before, and then I stripped the ends. It looks like this. They're about 2.5 centimeters long. So if you do the box exactly like I did with the materials I did, you need 22 of those bridges plus change. And then you have these blue and white wires that are coming with the box or with the board. What you need to do is you have to take off the cable shoes, like I said in the beginning, because they are useless for us. And you strip the ends of the wire so that it looks like this. Next thing you do is you just twist the bridge, one end of the bridge, to the positive contact of the wire. That it looks like this in the end. And next step is to, this is how I like to prepare for soldering. You might do it differently. I just already soldered the bridge to the positive wire, and I also put little dots of solder on the ends of the other wire. That will make it way easier later on the switches, because you don't have much room to work on the switches, so I try to prepare as much as I can. What you also need is shrinking wires, and I just cut 66 of them, because 3 connections per switch, 22 switches, 66 shrink wires. I will continue to prepare my wires now, putting all the solder on it, and then I will see you when I actually solder it to the switches. So guys, all my wires are prepared now. I soldered them all. And yeah, my soldering iron started to kind of freak out on me. The display kept turning on and off, and it showed wrong temperatures and all funny stuff. I'm not sure what it is, but I realized I was soldering for a little bit over an hour now, and this thing was running over an hour straight at 400 degrees Celsius. And this is, maybe it got a little bit too hot, I don't know. So I give it a little break before I start soldering everything to the switches, and tell you a little bit about soldering. Not the kind of, hey, look at me, I'm such an expert, because this is what I am definitely not. A lot of you people might not have ever touched a soldering iron, and it is not a big thing at all. This today is like the third time within 2 or 3 years that I used it, so I'm just as inexperienced as a lot of you people. But there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. You can get pretty cheap ones. You have to look them up yourself, but you can, like on Amazon or eBay, or where, even at your local Home Depot, when they're on sale or something like that. And yeah, there's nothing to be afraid of. It takes a couple hours to get used to it, and you have to focus on what you're doing. This is something I really recommend to you guys, that you stay focused on your soldering, because I just didn't a couple minutes ago, and this is when I decided to take a break myself. I didn't pay attention for like 3 seconds because I was looking at the camera, and immediately grabbed the soldering iron right at the tip. And like I said, it's 400 degrees Celsius, and it fucking hurts like hell, I can tell you that. So focus on what you do, and don't try to be like superhero fast or something. Take your time, focus, and you will be perfectly fine with your soldering. So like I said, I'll take a little break now, maybe have dinner. It's, yeah, actually past dinner time already. So I'm gonna go ahead, take a little break, and after that we're gonna start soldering everything to the switches, and I'll see you then.
1, 2, 3, snack time!
Okay, the soldering iron is cooled down. I am well fed. I know I look like I'm well overfed, but we're now gonna start to solder Yeah, let's start with those. We're now gonna start to solder the wires onto the switches. Okay, so this is how it now looks after it's soldered onto the switch. You have your ground wire, the white one, where's the lens? You have the white ground wire, the blue positive wire, and the, in this case, yellow bridge. And the bridge goes just from one outside socket to the other. I know the camera isn't focusing right now. Yeah, and now I'm gonna do this 21 more times and then I'm done with soldering. Day 2. For you it's just a cut, and for me it is actually a day later because the soldering yesterday took way longer than I expected. But it is almost done. So now I have 22 of those. The wires on it, the bridges on it. And it actually finally stays in place. I had a hard time with the soldering, I tell you guys. And like I said before, I'm not a pro when it comes to soldering. So yeah, 22 switches done. One of two buttons almost done, but I wanted to show you the buttons and tell you a little bit about it. These are the push buttons. They have this little LED ring here in front that lights up when you get power on it. You can take the connector off, which makes it way easier to install. It is a little bit oval, so it only fits two ways, and it doesn't matter if you put it on like this or like this. It really doesn't matter because the connection for the actual button is on the outsides and the connection for the power of the LED is on the higher and lower side. So it doesn't matter if you put it on like this or this. What you need to do here is you have to, like I said, cut them a little bit because they are pretty long. And then you take two pairs of jumper wires per button and you just twist them together and solder the ends. Well, my English is on point today. And as you have seen before, I put some cable shrinks over it to keep everything in place. So for now, there's only one button left to solder. I'm gonna do this right now, and then we're gonna install the board into the box, fix it in there somehow, and then we install the buttons and switches, connect them to the board, and then we're pretty much done. Okay guys, another thing I want to show you before we start putting everything together is the way I'm gonna attach the box to my desk. I don't want to have it sit there permanently. I just clamp it on, take it off whenever I need to. So what I did is I put this steel angle onto it. I put the first screw in right here. You just make sure the screw isn't too long so it doesn't touch any of the stuff inside your button box. This is very important. So after you got the first screw in, you just keep tilting it until you have the angle you're happy with. This is your desk, your flat surface, and then you go and look at what angle you want it. And if you found the way it should facing towards you, you just take a pen, mark, you might not see it, mark the second hole just like this, and put the second screw in. So, and this is what it then looks like. It is pretty rigid, it can't come off, it can't break out. And like I said before, just make sure the screws you use are not too long. But for now, I'm gonna take it off the angle and we start to put everything together. Okay, everybody, the last parts are coming together. I found these pieces of rubber. They are self-adhesive on one side, and I found out they are at the perfect height for the board. I already marked the area in here where I want to put it down, so let's go ahead and peel the cover off. And let's put it down right here. All right, just like that. Whoops, the camera is shaking a lot, sorry about that. Then we put the board in. And as you can see, it fits perfect on the back here. See? And then I take a second part of this rubber stuff. And just put it together like this. And now it fits in here pretty tight. I also gonna use a couple drips of super glue around the edges of the connector, and this is what I'm going to do right now. Be very careful with this super glue because you don't want to have any of it inside the connector, so be really careful with that. Just a little bit on the top, a little bit on the bottom, looks good on my end. Okay, and now we're gonna let this sit and dry, and in the meantime we start to build all the buttons and switches into the cover. Okay, the switches are installed, everything is soldered, everything is assembled. The glue on the board is still drying. And give me a second here. This is what it looks like. Well, this is what it looks like from the front. This is what it looks like from the back. It looks wild, I know, but it really isn't. The only thing you have to take care of is after everything is installed, check it. Check it very good to make sure that all the wires are still on the pins, that there are no pins touching each other that aren't supposed to touch each other. Because yeah, I got the switches in and then I noticed that one of the cables came off again, so I had to take the switch out, solder it back on, and put the switch back in. If everything is in, just make sure it is okay. Like I said, no touchy, no loose wires, no nothing. So I'm gonna take a break now, maybe have some dinner, and when I'm back, I hope the glue on the board is dried. And then we're gonna connect the wires to the board. Okay, so now for the connectors, like I said in the beginning, those blue and white ones, they come with the board and they fit on here perfect. They sit tight, they don't move around. But those female single pin connectors here, they sit very loose. They move around, they fall off if you don't pay, if you're not careful. So we're gonna use a drip of super glue on those to keep them in place. And they go, let me show you this real quick. Inside those connectors you have the silver pins here. And those female connectors go right onto these pins. And like I said, I'm gonna glue them down to keep them in place, and this is what I'm going to do now. So when you connect the push buttons, like I said before, they have 4 wires, 2 green ones, like here. Oh, what the fuck is with this light? 2 green ones and a black and a red one. The green ones go onto the connector, onto the white socket. The black and red one go to the 5-volt outlet, the red socket. Do not mix them up. That will ruin your button. So yeah, don't get them mixed up. Okay, everything is connected. Well, almost everything, because those 8 switches here on the outside will function just as dummy buttons for now, because the encoder has not enough ports to actually connect everything. You can get 14 buttons or switches on here, and I have yeah, 22 switches installed. So what I gonna do at a later point someday is get another encoder, build it in, and connect the other 8 switches. As you can see, it's now all connected. The pins, the single female pins are glued in. I hope they stay where they are. And now I'm gonna try and close the box without ripping cables off again. And yeah, that's pretty much it then. Okay guys, if you follow the tutorial up to this point, then I have to say congrats, because you built yourself a fully functional button box. There are the switches, there's the USB connection, and here is the iron angle to clamp it down to your desk. And this is exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm gonna take it to my PC, put it onto the desk, connect it, and see if everything works as it is supposed to. And yeah, I also show you in game. We take, I don't know, any truck game, and I show you how to get the buttons assigned to your game. Okay, so welcome to my desk. The box is already connected, and it is also already, the drivers are already installed. When you connect your box, it will give you a little pop-up down here in the corner saying there's a new device, I'm gonna install it. After this is done, you go to your system settings, hardware and sound, devices and printers, and then it will look like this. And this one right here, generic USB joystick, is your button box. If you right click on it and you go to game controller settings, it gives you the name. I renamed it to button box years ago, and I honestly can't remember how I did it. And then you go on properties, and when you click on properties, it opens this calibration window right here. And when you then push, let's say, keep a focus on this number, is this the one? Yes, keep in focus on this number here. So when I push the button now, no, that was the wrong one. You can see that it recognizes that that button 1 is getting pushed. And it also works with the axis up here. Let's say I use one of the switches, and the board thinks I'm gonna push down an axis. So before we go into the game now and set up the key bindings, I like to recommend to you that when you go ahead and use multiple of those encoders, try to get different ones from a different brand, because usually everything you connect to your PC, no matter if it is a USB stick, a hard drive, a graphics card, no matter what it is, everything you connect to your PC has its own unique ID. And this ID is so that the PC can tell devices apart, even if you get like 2 hard drives of the same brand, same size, same everything. They have different IDs, and that way, like I said, the PC can tell them apart. The problem with those cheap China products is that they build like 15,000 of it in a row, and all of those have the same ID. So if you connect like 3 of them to your PC is not able to tell them apart. So when you use more than one, try to get different brands. So with that said, let's start up the game and set up the key bindings. Okay, now we are in the game in the settings. And if you are used to the game, you know how to get your key bindings done. And if not, I'm gonna explain it to you real quick. Let me bring up my camera so you can actually see what I do on the box while setting everything up in game. For example, this. Oh yeah, by the way, the game is in German, so you might not be able to read what it says here. This right here is ignition, and what you do is you go to the one of the two. I recommend using the right one because I used to keep my keyboard buttons on the left side. So where was it? Ignition. You mark it with your mouse, you just click on it, and then you're gonna choose the switch or button from your button box you wanna assign. And like I said, this one right here, give it a tap, bring it back up, and it is assigned. And then you have your start button to start the engine. I choose the blue push button for it. You just mark it in the game, and then you go to your button box, push it, and there you go. And you repeat this whole process until every button is assigned. Like I said before, the ones with the duct tape on it are the ones that didn't work, so I have to take it apart again and check it. But this is going to happen after the recordings are done. So, what else? I messed something up when I started the game. I think it was where was it? Oh, my cruise control. I messed my cruise control up. I remember that. Where is it? Where is it? Come on. Oh, here it is. Cruise, repeat, or restart, whatever you want to call it. And for this, I use the red one. Give it a push. There you go. And now let's switch to the game. Or let's switch to drive, and then we're gonna see if it works. Okay. So here comes in place why I solder the bridges on all the buttons and switches. Ooh, what a rhyme. Usually you have like, if you only connect the ground and one of the outer pins, it will only work in one direction. Let's say you pull the switch up, it starts the ignition, as you can see. And to turn off the ignition, you have to bring it back to the middle and push it up again. So it recognizes a second button push. But with the bridge, with the bridge installed onto the pins, it recognizes both positions. So I can just bring it all the way down to start the ignition, and I can bring it all the way back up to turn the ignition off again. So this way it is more realistic, like you would have it in a real truck. Switch up, switch down to have some kind of a reaction instead of just switching it up, back to neutral, up again to get a reaction. And now let's see. Ignition on. Let's push the start button. And it works. What else do we have? Oh yeah, let's try the hazard lights. They work. Off. Let's try... Oh yeah, let's go to the outside view. Let's try the beacons. Yeah, they work too. Off. And yeah, there you go. This is how you assign your box to your game. And well, at this point, that's it. You have your own fully functional, multi-purpose button box. The reason why I say multi-purpose is your PC recognizes this thing as a game controller, so it works with every game that supports a game controller. For example, I use this one on American Truck Sim, Euro Truck Sim. I even use it on Microsoft's Flight Sim. I use it on Farm Sim and whatnot. So yeah, every game that supports a USB game controller supports this button box. Well, that's it, guys. This was the tutorial on how to make your own button box. I hope you liked it. I hope it was helpful for you. And I know for a fact that it is way more helpful than the one I did back in 2017. So, yeah, have fun with your button box, guys. And thank you very much for watching.